Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. We're on to day 3, we're entering into mid-spring and the sun is just coming up, as you can see. But we have a selection of jobs that need to be done today. The trees are all planted, but they are not watered, they are not fertilised with manure. We've got loads of work to do still with getting the orchard up and running. We also have a couple of fields that still need to be cultivated, so we're getting our Puma up and running nice and quickly for that. And ground temperature has gone up, it's now at 6 degrees, so it's within the planting window for us to be able to go off, well, within the temperature window as well as the planting window, for us to be able to go off and plant the rest of our barley and our 2 canola fields as well. Still not warm enough for me to go ahead and for me to take the risk. I mean, 4 degrees is quite a big difference. If it was only 2 degrees, I might risk a couple of our fields for corn or soybean, but we need 10 degree temperatures really for that to start growing. And having not used this GA before and not knowing how seeing how things can be on this map when it comes to sort of planting below temperature but within the window, I don't know how predictable seasons is going to be. It may possibly decide to play silly buggers with me, so I'm just not wanting to take the risk with the big crops. So we're going to be holding off to probably tomorrow, maybe even day 5, before we actually go ahead and plant some soybean and some corn. But we can definitely get the barley and the canola planted today. That's not a problem at all. So this field still needs to be cultivated, and on top of that we also need to cultivate the 2 fields up at the top of the map, the ones where fields 5 and 6 up by the BGA, where we'll be doing our corn chaffing. They need to be cultivated as well. So 3 fields in total. We can make a start on those. I'm going to get a worker to do this for us, but when we get to the other end of the field, I do need to put a manual border in, because it does go very close to the fence and it is going to cause our worker some problems. So we're doing a sort of a manual headland across that side of the field there, and then we'll get the worker to carry on. We're going to break out the Magnum and start seeding, and as I say, get that 2nd field of barley planted, and then also start work at planting our canola as well. We're also waiting for 2 things to happen today. We're waiting for a water tanker to be delivered for us to be able to use for filling up and delivering water to our orchard, and we are also waiting for 2 water storage units to be delivered to the farm to be placed on the orchard as well. They are all paid for. We've just got to wait for them to arrive. Our debt is just under $1 million. We currently have, not counting the 10,000 debt that we have on hand, our debt with the bank is now $960,000. Ouch. That's a lot. That's very, very high. But hopefully the orchard will start generating money pretty quickly, and we'll actually end up in a pretty decent position after not too long, I hope. I'm hoping that by the end of the year the orchard will have brought in a substantial amount of money and really help reduce that debt down. Plus, we'll be doing some loose silage. We'll be able to make some good money off the silage this year. Obviously with bales last year we got a fixed price, which wasn't amazing. We would have certainly made more if we'd done it loose, and that's what we're doing this year. So we could stand to make quite a lot more money from silage this year than we did last year. And we're going to have a lot of crops to sell as well. I mean, if we just quickly check the soybean price window, you can see we're sort of a season away effectively. We're looking for midsummer. We're currently mid-spring. We're looking for midsummer to sell our soybean. There we go. So let's just go back to that again. You can see there where we are now. The price, not great. Obviously these side prices, they are wrong, but the predictions are the important thing. So you can see where we are at the moment. Quite low prices in the general scheme of things, but day 3 is going to be the day, by the look of it, to sell our soybeans. Current price for soybeans at the moment is 1,600. That's not too bad. We can do better though. Given where we are now and where we expect the price to be in a full season's time, sort of midsummer, then yeah, we're probably looking at around $2,500 per 1,000 litres, which is going to be hugely important for us because, as you can see, we do have 247,000 litres to sell, so we want as good a price as we can possibly get. This doesn't feel empty now that there's no fertilizer unit there, there's no seeders there. This just feels really empty, this part of the warehouse now, especially because that temporary equipment storage that we were using, where we had seeders originally, where we'd stored our trailer and our water tanker for the orchard. Now they're in place at the orchard. Again, it just feels really empty out here. I have to start thinking of what we can put in those bays. I might bring the auger wagon into there actually. It's currently in a shed just around the corner actually, but we might bring that into to take that space over there. That'll be enough fuel, I think, to keep us going for now. We don't need to completely fill the tank. Oops. I do need to avoid driving into a telegraph pole though. That is not going to do me any favours whatsoever. So let's go and hook up to our seeder, which is back here in its bay. We may actually need to top it up. I'm not too sure. There we go. Well, we can probably get... Oh. That engine seems to have stalled there. I'm trying to remember which field it was that we needed to actually put our second field of barley in. Let me just find my list. I do have it noted down so I don't forget which fields are which. Field 43 and 45, so it's field 45 because we've already planted on field 43. 45 is the odd-shaped field just the other side of our cow barn. That's where we're going to be planting our barley today. So let's get that started right now. Got my lights on, haven't I? Let's turn those off. Don't need those on. Glorious sunshiny weather at the moment, although it is going to get cloudy. You can see that in the weather predictions. We are going to suffer with some cloud later today, so it will get a bit darker, a bit overcast. But I think we've got enough seed on hand to be able to do this field here. We may possibly need to do a refill. Let's see. Let's do ourselves a nice little border around the edge here. So from here I'm just going to run all the way up to the very top of this field. Keep it in sort of a nice straight line. You can just see that sort of crease line in the soil in front of us, and obviously we've got a little kind of notched area on the nose of our tractor we can use as kind of a guide point. This will help us to try and keep in a straight line. We are actually struggling a little bit for power going up this hill, which is surprising because this tractor does have quite a nice little bit of power in it. But we really are struggling going up this hill. That's something that we may possibly need to be very wary of. Oh, and our engine's cut out again. I think we may have a problem with our Magnum here. I did the maintenance over the winter, you know, kept it in as good running condition as possible, but it's cut out on me twice already, and we are struggling for power up the hill. I wonder, has our Magnum got a serious fault right in the middle of planting season? That would be a disaster if that's the case. We'll keep running for a bit. We'll see if it happens again. We'll see if we continue to have power issues trying to climb this hill. But the last thing we need, you know, in the middle of planting season, is for our Magnum to go down. That could, you know, cost us a huge amount of money in terms of, you know, crop time. If we can't get our crops in the window where I want them, then that potentially means that we're going to end up with too much crop all coming ripe at the same time, not enough time to get it all harvested before it goes off, and we could end up really losing a lot of money, you know, if that's the case. I really hope our Magnum is just being a little temperamental today and isn't developing a serious fault, because that could be absolutely disastrous, especially when you consider just how much money we've spent over the last couple of days. You know, we don't really have any wiggle room left financially at all now, and we've still got, you know, 6 days to go really before we can sell our soybean and bring in a large chunk of additional money. This could be very problematic for us indeed. I'm really concerned now. Let's see if we can actually get up this hill without any major issues. It's not quite as steep on this angle, although potentially as we get closer to the top of that hill it could get quite, you know, tricky again. Fingers crossed we will be okay. See, we're just dropping speed just a little bit. Oh, and the engine's gone again. I'm getting very worried here. Getting very worried indeed. I don't even know if we're going to be able to finish this field off. We're going to try and struggle through the rest of this field, and then I'm going to give Sam a call. Oh, my seeder's not even... Ugh. Of course, we lost power, which meant the seeder switched itself off. Back up and get that restarted, but we're going to need to call Sam. We're going to need to get get his technicians on the case and having a look at this, seeing if we've just got a loose connection somewhere, or if we have actually developed a serious fault with this Magnum. We did push it pretty hard last year. I really hope we haven't overdone it and overworked it. It's gone again. Look, oh, this is disastrous. This is absolutely disastrous. Right, we need to call Sam. Okay, so update. I've spoken to Sam. He's told me I need to bring this Magnum in immediately. It sounds like it could have a serious problem with it. So been over and collected the gooseneck. We're going to try and get the Magnum loaded onto the back of the trailer here. Hopefully everything will be okay. Let's just disconnect. There we go, so we don't break the suspension on our truck loading the Magnum on there. While I've been doing that, the boys have removed the twins off the back, well, off the sides of the tractor, just to make sure that it'll actually fit. Oh, it's getting to the point where it won't even start now. This is, yeah, this is absolutely disastrous. It looks like our Magnum could be out for the count, or at least out for the planting season anyway. Will it fit? I don't know if it's going to fit. It's a big tractor. If it won't fit here, let's try backing up. It might be that the hitch is catching on the back. It may just be a little bit too wide. Can I get this on here? It doesn't want to go, does it? No, it's the sidewalls. They're just... We'll have to take the walls off the side of this and just transport it without any sidewalls. Hopefully we can keep it pretty steady on here. I had to take out another 15,000 to clear my debt enough to be able to put the sidewalls on, and now it turns out that I can't use them. Let's get these walls taken off. Alright, so let's try this again. Let's try and get loaded on the back here. There we go. Smooth as you like. Just about got space left. Let's get those rear loaders up. It's a bit wobbly, isn't it? Yeah, we kind of got nudged out of position a little bit thanks to those folding up. This is practically just a fraction too short, really, to carefully and comfortably manage to support the Magnum, but we can pull it. We're gonna have to be really careful. Hopefully it'll stay put and it won't slide all over the place. So let's get this over to Manning's. Let's get Sam and his team to take a look at this and see if they can figure out what's wrong with it, how bad it is, and how long it's going to be out of action for, and how much it's going to cost to get it fixed. Hopefully the answer to all of those is not much. Well, we've been able to make our way over here relatively uneventfully, but the truck is squirreling a little bit. You can see it rolls and leans to the side quite drastically due to the sheer weight of that Magnum, but it has pulled it, and it hasn't slipped or slid around the back. I think that is about the right kind of position. Let's get the ramps down. And let's get the Magnum off the back here. There we go. So, yeah, that is not good. Sam and his team are going to work on that. They'll do what they can to get that fixed as quickly as they can But first they've got to find out what's wrong with it, diagnose the fault, and then see what they need to do to fix it. It could be out of action for quite some time, and that's going to be absolutely disastrous if that's the case. So we need to head back to the farm. Luckily, we can do some planting still using the Puma. It has a 270 horsepower engine. The Cedar needs 270 horsepower, so we can just about stay functional. But it's not ideal, and we run the risk of putting too much strain on our Puma if we're not careful, and that'll end up in exactly the same position as the Magnum. So yeah, we really need to be careful, but we do also need to crack on with our seeding and try and make some headway. We've got 3 fields that needed to be planted today, and yeah, I want to try and get them all done, so we'll just kind of have to muddle through as best we can. But if the Magnum's going to be out of action for a long time, we're going to have to look at sourcing an alternative tractor, even if it's just on a temporary basis, for the rest of our planting. If the temperatures rocket up tomorrow, then we've got a lot of soybean and a lot of corn that needs planting, and I don't really want to be twiddling my thumbs just doing nothing and waiting and waiting and waiting for a tractor that could take an eternity to actually get fixed. So yeah, this is going to be a very nerve-wracking couple of days, I think, while we wait for the verdict from Sam. It turns out when we got back to the farm, our 2 water containers were there ready and waiting for us. So we're riding shotgun here with the truck driver as we head over to our orchard. We're going to go place and install these tanks, and then hopefully a little later today we'll be able to collect our transport tanker so that we'll be able to get these filled up. We're also going to make a manure run at some point and try and get these trees up and running. The first thing we need to do is get these trucks in. So let's take these in one at a time. I think is going to be the easiest way to do this. So we'll put the first one down just there. That works. It might be easier for us to do this actually with our tractor, thinking about it, because the yeah, we'll do that with the tractor, and this way we can use the truck for spacing, so we know the distance that needs to be between the 2 water tanks, so that we can back a water tanker in there safely for overloading purposes. So we leave that there like that. We'll jump into our 1455. Let's just attach the rear weight. And we'll drop this one ourselves. And then the truckie can retrieve his IT runner trailer and head on out. Just worried that we might be a little too close to the trees, but I think we'll have enough clearance. You have to be really careful when we back in though with our transport trailer. I think that there is good. Let's just get the distance pulled forward a bit. That looks pretty good to me. There we go. So we have our 2 storage tanks in place. That'll give us 40,000 litres of water storage here at the orchard. And we have a 40,000 litre tanker trailer on the way, which we'll be collecting from the truck depot a little later today. Then once that's done, we can fill that up. We can actually get some water on our trees and we can start generating some income, which is now more vital than ever given that we could end up having to potentially buy a brand new tractor if we can't salvage the Magnum. Yes, I'm happy with the placement of those 2 tanks just there, so we'll leave those like that. And our orchard now is, for all intents and purposes, finished. We just need water and manure and we are good to go. So we'll get a ride back to the farm with the truck driver, and then as we get to the farm we'll jump out and we'll find out what is going on with our Puma and get it reallocated over to start, well, I say start, to continue seeding field 45. So we've dropped off the cultivator. The skies have turned quite grey and overcast, and they're kind of matching my mood at the moment because while we're back at the farm, we fitted twin rears to our Puma just to give us better traction and to spread the weight a little bit better on the soil, so we're not damaging the field as we're planting it. And I was on the phone to Sam at Manning's while the boys were putting the wheels on, and the news is not good. It seems that we have a major fault with our Magnum. It's going to be out of commission for probably the next 3 or 4 days. It's come at the worst possible time. We're going to make do as best we can today with the Puma. Luckily, this is the hardest field for us to work. The others are relatively flat land in comparison to this. This is the field with the steepest inclines. So this is the one that's going to really push the Puma more than I really want to. The last thing I need now is for the Puma to break down as well. But we'll get our barley field finished, and then we'll move off. We'll get the canola done, and as I say, we are going to get some good news. We are going to get our water tanker delivered at some point today, which means we'll be able to get the orchard up and running and start, growing some apples and generating some income, which I think we may well need, because if our Magnum is going to be out for as long as Sam is indicating it's going to be out of action, then we may need to replace it. I mean, look how much here as we hit that little bit of an incline. Look how much we're struggling. This seeder needs around 270 horsepower to pull it properly. This tractor maxes out at 270 horsepower. And that's just the seeder itself. Obviously, when you add in the weight of seed on top of that as well, I mean, seed's not going to weigh a huge amount, but you add in the weight of the seed and then you add in the inclines, and we are really, I think, going to struggle on parts of this field. Really struggle because it's steep here. I mean, we've done the steepest bits on this section that we're doing here, but it gets really steep just over there and around the corner. It gets really steep as well, and you can see already, look, we're down to 6 miles an hour going up here. Now 5, 4.4, 4.3, 4.2, 4 miles an hour. Now we're dipping into 3, and into just 3 miles an hour. Through at 3.9 at the moment, and struggling. This is going to be hard work getting this field done. But hopefully, the ground's going to be easier to work on the canola fields, so we can try and at least get those done as well. But it's going to slow us right down. we still have that cultivating that needs to be done, and we only have one tractor really that can do that now, which is this one, and we need this for this planting. So yeah, this is really, really awkward and problematic for us. And Sam is looking into some options for us. He's going to call us back again a little bit later, give us another update on the Magnum. They still haven't been able to diagnose a fault, but he did say it sounds like it's going to be something pretty serious. They've run some basic checks, and it's not a simple fault. That's all I know at the moment, is it's not a simple fault, which means it's going to be time consuming and quite possibly expensive to fix. So he's going to look around and make some inquiries and see what are the vehicles we could possibly use. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, but yeah, these clouds are kind of mirroring my mood on the farm at the moment. Oh, this is the part of the field I was always going to be concerned about. Look how much of a struggle it is just to move this thing. 3 miles an hour. It's terrible. This is the last part of this field that needs to be seeded. From here we can break off and try the slightly easier fields, hopefully, for canola. We will need to refill the seeder. That much is a given. But there we go, we've finally finished planting over here, so let's get the Puma back to the farm. Let's get the seeder refilled, and then we'll get it over and start planting our canola. Right, so first up we're going to do field 34, which is the field just in front of us. Make the turn, need to swoop wide so we can swoop back again. Let's get the seeder opened up. Let's change the seed to canola, there we go. And there we go, we are off and planting canola, and this is a much flatter field. It still has an incline part way through it, but it's not as steep, so we should be able to get this field planted with a lot less hassle and a lot smoother running compared to the field that we've just left, field 45. Just need to make sure I don't drift too much. I've already drifted a little bit, as you can see, and missed a thin strip. We'll tidy that up at the end. But we're going to run along here. Starting to drift again. It's a little harder to control this setup than the Magnum. The Magnum handled this beautifully, was much more adept at staying in a straight line, but the sheer weight of this seeder is making it a little trickier to stay on target with the Puma. Have to constantly make little tweaks and adjustments to our steering. And once again, when we get to the end, we'll do a border. We may possibly need to do two. and this will also give us a kind of an indication potentially as to how much of an issue we're going to have with an incline. We'll be able to keep an eye on our speedo, see if that fluctuates quite a lot. Already, yeah, already you can see we are dipping down below 9 miles an hour. So we are definitely going to struggle a little bit in places on this field. You can see not exactly what you would call tabletop smooth, is it? It'll be a very interesting kind of run through here. And I may, as I say, need to do a second headland, because I do want to get a worker to run this. We've got to go and collect our water trailer. It is waiting for us now at the truck park. And the quicker we get that collected, the quicker we can get our orchard up and running, get our trees watered and start growing some fruit. Oh, this is painful. Trying to operate this seeder with an underpowered, technically underpowered tractor. There we go. Right. Yeah, it's going to be another long run, and I don't, it's going to take us the rest of the day, but we are going to have to plant on this field next door as well. We're going to have to get them both done today, otherwise we're going to fall too far behind in our planting schedule. So this is our new trailer. It's bought and paid for, and we're currently taking it down to the reservoir to get it filled, and then we can take it over and fill up our tankers at the orchard. So we have this nice little pond here just on the edge of our property. We've got a couple of fields nearby that we don't own, but it's a little clunky. Let's try and get through there without demolishing the fence. There we go. So we've got a couple of fields here that we don't own, but may possibly try and take ownership of in the future. We have got permission to just kind of edge onto the fields where we need to, so we can get the tanker in and then get it turned around again. This isn't ideal. But we have to kind of make the best of a tricky situation. There isn't really great access with a tanker this big. You know, if we went round the other side by the little drawbridge, I say drawbridge, by the little bridge over the lake or the pond to the cabin, it's very, very tight round there, and for a truck this big with this bigger trailer, it's just, there isn't much space at all. But this is a free water source, so we're going to be taking advantage of this a lot, and we're going to be burning through a lot of water for our trees. Now we have, what, 48 trees? Each tree is going to need 2,000 litres of water every couple of days, so we probably are going to need more than more of those storage tanks fitting. We have 40,000 litres of water, and I think we're going to need more than double that. This will do effectively 20 trees. So it's going to be multiple trips, and it's another 20 grand for every additional tank. So we're going to kind of stick and make do with the best we can. That gate shouldn't be open. Let's close that gate. There we go. We'll leave the other ones open because we're going to be coming back again. Let's go deliver this water to the orchard. And once we've done that, then we can, go on a manure run, collect a load of manure, and get that stored away in the shed for us as well. Again, we're going to go through a lot of manure. We're going to need, let's see, if we need 3,000, I think it's 3,000 per tree. It might only be 2,000 per tree. I know it's 3,000 with a greenhouse. If it's 3,000 per tree, then we are going to need 144,000 litres of manure every couple of days. That's an awful lot of manure. And we certainly aren't producing anywhere near that much. So we are going to have to be buying in the manure. But the money we make in our orchard is going to counteract, quite comfortably counteract the costs that we're going to incur in buying that manure. So in that respect, it's all good. Just click that invisible post again. Let's get this in here so we can overload. And there we go. That is the first 40,000 litres of water delivered over here to our orchard. We're going to just park up here out of the way for a second. Let's get those beacons off. Let's jump back in here. I do still have the weight connected, don't I? Let's disconnect the weight for a second. There we go. And I'm going to disconnect the bucket as well. I remember what happened last time, so I'm going to actually disconnect the bucket itself. And then disconnect the arms. There we go. So we'll fill up our little orchard tractor and trailer here. There we go. Now let's just see just how much water we need per tree. I think it's 1,000 litres. It actually might be less than that. That's only 500 litres per tree. Oh, in that case, 40,000 litres might be enough. So that is the first 2 trees done. And we are starting to grow some apples. Maybe the manure level isn't 3,000 there. Maybe it's a lot less. Maybe it's 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000. I think it might be 1,500. I'm trying to remember. The last time I did anything with trees was... it was back on American Midwest on Who Dat Who Dare Ranch. That was the last time I had an orchard. And I'm trying to remember how much manure I needed per tree. can't remember how much it was. It might have been 1,500. Might have been only 1,000. I guess we'll find out a little bit later once we go get some manure. This is the last of the water that we have. There we go. So let's make our way through. Cut back, go collect some more water, and then continue doing this until all of our trees have been watered. And finally, our orchard is starting to become operational. And here we are with a little over 65,000 litres of manure. This should keep us going for a little while, I hope. Alright, let's get that door open. And let's see if manure is as easy to tip as something like silage or chaff. Kind of hope it is. I've never tipped manure in this quantity before. So we can get that side bit there as well. There we go. So just how much space does 65,000 litres of manure take up in our shed? I'm guessing probably not that much in the grand scheme of things. Oh no, we can get a lot more than 65,000 litres in here. So let's see. How much do we need for a tree? I'm hoping it's a nice small amount. Oh, there we go. It's about 1,000 litres. Yeah, it's not showing me the... Oh, there we go. I had to get a bit closer. Yeah, 1,000 litres. Oh, in that case, yeah, that's fine. A single trailer will give us enough manure to do all of our trees. The water is 24,000 litres to fully hydrate our trees. So between the two amounts, you know, a single trailer of water and a single trailer of manure will give us enough to do everything in one go. And that'll last us 2, maybe 3 days before we have to come back and do it all over again. So what I will do is probably get a second trailer's worth of manure over here once all these trees are done, and really fill that shed up so we don't have to go over to the manure point too often. The water, there's not really much we can do about it. Yeah, we use up just over half of our storage with every run. So the only way to, get around that would be to just keep adding in storage points until we get to a point where we could actually do it all in, an even number of trips, kind of thing. But the great thing about tipping in 1,000 litres or 500 litres at a time is that our trailer is an 8,000 litre trailer. So 3 runs with the trailer will do the entire orchard. That works out really well. It's just a shame we can't really do more with the manure, but it's really awkward to get a trailer down here to try and tip. And I don't think, I tried once before and I couldn't get it to tip onto a tree with a trailer. Buckets are just much more manoeuvrable. You can get right in there. But I might look at maybe seeing if we can get maybe a 4,000 litre bucket. I don't know. I mean, this one's working out so far. We may just stick with this bucket. We can do 3 and a bit trees with each run, so that's not too bad. There we go. So I'm going to carry on doing the rest of the trees. My worker, as you saw popped up there, has finished, so I think we have finished planting our canola on both fields now. Just having a look on the map. Yeah, it looks like he's completed his run on the second field. So that leaves us in a pretty good position. The bad news is that the Magnum has suffered a catastrophic engine failure and needs a complete rebuild of the engine block, which means it's going to be out of commission for quite some time. Sam has some of the parts he needs, doesn't have all of them, so he's got to order some parts in, and then obviously there's all the work that needs to be done to get that engine completely rebuilt. So our Magnum is pretty much out of commission until the summer. He is going to have a quad track brought up for me to the store for tomorrow. I'll be able to collect that and use that on lease until the end of my planting cycle, so I can at least get more of my crops done, and then that'll get returned. And depending on how it goes with the Magnum, with the quad track, I may possibly part exchange my Magnum and put that towards a quad track. I don't know yet. I really want to get a quad track on this farm, but I've had a lot of fun with the Magnum this this year, this past 12 months, and I don't really want to kind of, having not really used it for so long, to finally having started using the Magnum, I don't really want to get rid of it now when I'm really having a lot of fun with it. So I can't afford to buy a Magnum, or to get the Magnum back up and running and keep the quad track. So it would be a one or the other option. I think we'll just lease the quad track for as long as we need it, and then send it back and welcome back the Magnum onto our farm. But it depends, it depends how well the quad track works on this farm. It may swing me, it may change my mind. But anyway, that's it from me. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another episode of Lone Oak very soon.